Hey, what's going on out there, everybody? It's Adrian Mason back again. It is Sunday, September 29th, 2013, and we are in week 4, as I told you Thursday, of the 2013 NFL season. It's also the final Sunday of September, so we've got 14 games, 14 because the Packers and Panthers are on a bye week this week. So let's get to the picks, shall we? Got my handy dandy notebook right here. So, first game up today, we have the Baltimore Ravens traveling to Buffalo to take on E.J. Manuel and the Buffalo Bills. Ravens coming off of a blowout win against the Houston Texans. The Bills coming off of an ugly loss versus the New York Jets. This is going to be an interesting contrast of styles here because the Baltimore Ravens, they're 29th in total offense, ranked 29th in total offense, bottom of the barrel. And, a lot of that had to do with the fact that last week they were without the services of one Ray Rice. And if you know, that offense goes when Ray Rice is going. So they get him back today. He will suit up. So that's going to be a huge boost to that offense. And obviously by their ranking in total offense, they need it. But, hey, they're 2-1, so they're tied atop the AFC North. And they get to travel to Buffalo, take on E.J. Manuel and the Bills. The Bills, surprisingly, have the league's 5th-ranked rushing attack. So a healthy dose of Fred Jackson and C.J. Spiller, that'll be key to keeping Baltimore's defense, on their heels, tire them out, and keep Flacco and company on the sidelines. My pick, I'm going to go with Baltimore. I just think that, of course, E.J. Manuel, he's a rookie. He's growing into that offense. He's growing into that team. But a veteran squad like Baltimore, they're not going to let a blowout win, go to their heads and, think that, they're just the top dogs. They're going to go into Buffalo, just handle business. Say about 23-14, that kind of score. I do see Baltimore taking the win on this one. So Ray Rice is back, so look for him to get a healthy dosage of touches, whether it's, handoffs, dump-offs. They're going to feature him heavily in that offense. So I got the Ravens. Next up, we have the Arizona Cardinals traveling to Tampa Bay to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Arizona Cardinals are sitting near the bottom of the barrel with the 23rd ranked offense. And the thing is that you can't really look at those numbers. I mean, the numbers are numbers. They tell you where they're at. But they've vastly improved in the passing game thanks to bringing in Carson Palmer. And, said that before, last week and the week before that. Carson Palmer has helped that offense. If they can get a rushing attack going, that will help out a lot. But obviously, their first-round pick this season, or from the draft this past April, broke his leg. So they're without his services. But that offensive line has had its struggles over the last few seasons. So they, outside of really just the 23rd ranked offense, they look a lot better. They're not the dumpster fire of last season or the season before that. So they get to travel to Tampa Bay, and of course, if you've been living under a rock, cryogenically frozen, or in a coma, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been going through a lot of stuff as of late. The biggest news is, which I pretty much seen coming, is Greg Schiano has benched Josh Freeman in favor of third-round pick Mike Glennon out of North Carolina State. That's right, folks. The Mike Glennon era starts today. Josh Freeman pretty much had this coming. Now, everybody was saying that even when the draft happened, when they drafted Mike Glennon, that Josh Freeman needs to watch his back because this is a Moby year, make or break year for him. And when he had his rookie season, when he went, he threw for 25 touchdowns and only 6 picks, and they had a 10-6 record, granted against easy competition, but for Josh Freeman to have that kind of success, you would figure, okay, the Buccaneers finally have a franchise QB that they could build around. They got a great future. It hasn't happened like that. I mean, he has seriously regressed, and it's never gotten better for him. Like, for a franchise QB, and for him to be as big and as physical and as mobile as he is, he's putting up Mark Sanchez numbers, and that's not going to get it done. And the final straw was the fact that in 3 games, his completion percentage is below 50%. He is sitting at 46.7% of pass completions. That's terrible. That is absolutely atrocious. That's why he's rocking the bench. And I also heard that they're trying to put him as the third QB, which will make him inactive behind Dan. I run in the back of the end zone and don't realize it, Orlovsky. Now, how bad has it gotten for Josh Freeman? He has fallen. And the thing is, they said that he's had situations where he hasn't shown that leadership. They stripped him of his captain. They stripped him of his captain duties. And they say that, some of that had to do with the fact that he missed his team photo. You're seen as the front man. You're seen as the leader. You're the general of that team. And you're missing events like that. You're losing faith and trust in your own teammates. From your teammates, rather. And then not to mention how terrible he's been playing this season. The writing was on the wall. I mean, this was going to happen regardless. It was eventually going to happen. They're 0-3. They're the league's worst, almost. They're 31st ranked offense, 31st in passing. They're the league's penultimate worst offense in the league. And Freeman has a lot to do with that. That's why he's benched. So if you're already looking at this team in total disarray, you figure, what the heck? Might as well give the rookie a shot. Get a youngin a shot. So it's Glennon time, folks. But I'm picking the Cardinals because the Buccaneers, that team is just a mess. It's a mutiny, folks. Double entendre. Don't ask me how. Next up, we're going to jolly old London, England. We've got the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Minnesota Vikings. That's right. London gets 2 0-3 teams for their viewing pleasure. Yes, the Steelers fans travel. Yes, the Steelers have a massive fan base. But come on, son. NFL should have known better. But who would have thought that these two teams would be sitting at 0-3 right now? You got a pair of 0-3 teams going to London to face off. You got the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have just looked terrible. They've just looked absolutely ridiculous this season. And, of course, they're sitting with the 27th ranked offense, but they also have the 5th ranked defense. But, numbers could be a little bit misconstrued here because a lot of the times is that, teams don't need to do much after they've scored enough. Because a lot of the points that they've given up have generally been on turnovers. And, Big Ben, he just looks off. And they have no rushing attack. They have zero rushing attack. When you're relying on cast-offs like Felix Jones and, non-impact players like Jonathan Dwyer, guys like that, you're hoping that Le'Veon Bell gets healthy soon. You got problems. I mean, you need a ground game. That's why you look at teams. I mean, the Steelers have been built on a strong running game. So this is really a shock to see them this bad on the ground. But they're traveling, like I said, they're in London. And you look on the other side of the field, or pond, rather, the Minnesota Vikings, it's because of Christian Ponder. He sucks. Straight up. Peterson is getting his numbers. I mean, it's ironic because Minnesota needs a quarterback. Pittsburgh has that. But Pittsburgh needs a running attack. Minnesota has that. Minnesota is built on Adrian Peterson. But they need a quarterback to take a lot of the focus off of Peterson. It's like when Detroit had Barry Sanders and they didn't have anything else. Teams realize that all they got to do is stack up and dare their quarterback and dare Minnesota's quarterback to beat them in the air. And the thing is, Ponder hasn't been able to do that. And you look at that 2011 QB class of Cam Newton, Andy Dalton, Colin Kaepernick, who the last two I just mentioned went the next day. Minnesota's got to be kicking themselves. And so is Jacksonville because, they took playing garbage Blaine Gabbert and Christian Ponder from Minnesota. Tennessee has Jake Locker. The jury's still out on him, but he's nowhere near as bad as Ponder and Gabbert. So Minnesota, even though they brought in Greg Jennings, they have a tight end in Kyle Rudolph who's damn good. They brought in Cordarrelle Patterson through the draft, big play receiver. Yet they're sitting at 0-3 because of quarterback play. And also, on top of that, their defense is trash. They're 29th in the league in defense so far. So you have a bad QB, a bad defense. I'm picking Pittsburgh to put it together. I'm taking the Steelers on this one. Next up, the surprising 0-3 New York Giants travel to Arrowhead to take on the surprising 3-0 Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the New York Giants, what more can be said about them? They just look terrible. And, of course, last week was probably the worst that I've ever seen them in a 38-0 blowout loss to the Carolina Panthers. Eli Manning had no time to throw the ball. He was sacked 6 times in the first 16 minutes of the game. That's terrible, folks. They have no running game. As a matter of fact, the Giants are dead last in the league in rushing. They're also ironically, 6th in the league in passing. That's because Eli has to air it out because they have no running attack. They have no ground game. And Ahmad Bradshaw is smiling his ass off because he knew that they should have paid him the money he wanted to keep that running attack going. And so he's in Indy smiling while New York is starving right now. The Giants are starving. Then they get to travel to one of the most difficult places to play outside of Seattle, and that's Arrowhead. With the 3-0 Chiefs, they're playing some efficiently good football. Gee, Alex Smith seems to be the quarterback for that team. Surprise, efficient football. Don't make mistakes, take what's given, and just let the rest carry on. Kansas City Chiefs have the 10th ranked defense. Guys like Justin Houston and Tom Bahali and Derek Johnson and Brandon Flowers. And what's his name? Dontari Poe. They have a stout defense, and on top of that, like I said, Alex Smith, he doesn't make many mistakes. He's deceptively athletic if you get him outside of the pocket. And then of course Jamal Charles and Dwayne Bowe, guys like that. And this game is at Arrowhead. And I'm sorry, Giants fans, I see an 0-4 future coming for y'all because Kansas City is not an easy place to play. Just ask Dallas. And ask any other team that's played them there. So, I'm going with the Chiefs. Surprising 4-0 Chiefs. So. Next up, we have an AFC South battle. We have the Indianapolis Colts coming off their fresh victory over the 49ers, traveling to Jacksonville to take on the 0-3 Jaguars. Colts. Just trust me on this one. Colts. Oh, by the way, this is the last week that Justin Blackmon will be serving his suspension, so he will be back for Week 5, but would it really matter at this point? Next up, we have a big game today. Interconference battle between the 3-0 Seattle Seahawks, who have just been steamrolling their competition, traveling to Houston to take on the Houston Texans. Now, this is going to be a battle between two defenses that are both ranked 1 and 2. Seattle's is the number 1 ranked defense right now. Houston's is number 2. Houston's coming off of a blowout loss to the Baltimore Ravens. The Seattle Seahawks are coming off of a blowout victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, we all know how dangerous Seattle is at home. Like, they're damn near invincible there. That stadium is the most difficult place to play, as Colin Kaepernick. But they're traveling on the road, where to take them seriously, they have to win road games. They have to. They beat Carolina, but it's the big road games that they need to win. They have to win those because the one thing that they know that can assure them an easy trip to the Super Bowl is if they get home field advantage in the NFC. And to do that, they have to have a better road record. So they're traveling with Russell Wilson and Marshawn Lynch, Doug Baldwin, Golden Tate and company, traveling to Houston to take on J.J. Watt and Brian Cushing, guys like that. It's gonna be a fight. This is gonna be a big game. A lot of people are saying potential Super Bowl preview. I won't disagree with that. And in Houston, they're bringing Schaub, Andre Johnson, Arian Foster, Ben Tate. This is gonna be a slugfest because they're going up against that nasty defense, with Red Bryant and Bobby Wagner, Bruce Irvin, and of course the incomparable Richard Sherman and Chancellor and Tom. The team is loaded, folks, and this is going to be a slugfest, and it's going to be close. It's going to be a 1-point differential. I think it's going to be decided by 1 point, 24-23, Houston. Seattle's on the road. And I like Houston better at home. Now, if this game was in Seattle, I'd pick Seattle by the drop of the hat, straight up. But this is on the road. Houston is looking to bounce back after an ugly loss. I say Houston by 1, 24-23. AFC North battle here, folks. Cincinnati sitting atop, tied with Baltimore at 2-1, taking on the Cleveland Browns, who got a surprising victory over the Minnesota Vikings after the Trent Richardson trade during that week. Cincinnati is coming in 12th in the league in passing. So, of course, Andy Dalton wants to get on track, sling the rock to, A.J. Green and Jermaine Gresham and Ertz, guys like that. No, Eifert. Ertz is in Philly. Tyler Eifert. My fault. But Cleveland, surprisingly, has a very stout defense. They're ranked 7th in the league in defense. So it's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. But offensively, it's the Brian Hoyer show. Brian Hoyer, he played well against against Minnesota, but don't sleep on Cincinnati's defense either. They can get after people. Of course, guys like the incomparable Geno Atkins, Terrence Newman, Pac-Man Jones, surprise, they're actually playing extremely well. Leon Hall, they have the pieces together for that defense in Cincinnati. It's really good. And that's why I'm picking Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati has a better balanced attack as far as offense, and their defense will make some plays and get Brian Hoyer into a situation where he's very uncomfortable. Brian Hoyer was able to do what he did against a bad Minnesota defense. I don't think he's going to have that same luck against Cincinnati, so I got the Bengals. Next up, NFC North battle here. We have the 3-0 Chicago Bears taking on the 2-1 Detroit Lions at Detroit. Chicago Bears, they're at the bottom of the barrel offensively and defensively, but they're 3-0. How? Turnovers, folks. They are notorious for getting the ball and scoring. They find a way whenever they recover a fumble or pick off a pass, they get it in the end zone. Like you watched the game against Pittsburgh last Sunday night. You had a pick six. You also had Julius Peppers, a strip sack fumble recovery touchdown. So, yeah, their stats say that they're at the bottom offensively, defensively, but they're 3-0 thanks to points off turnovers. And Jay Cutler is playing well with his new head coach, Mark Trestman, who is utilizing Cutler's skill set and trusting him to get the ball out faster. And that's actually helped out Cutler because he's not taking as many sacks. But they travel to Detroit where they're taking on the league's number 4 ranked offense. And, Matthew Stafford, Megatron, we all know about them. And, of course, if Reggie Bush plays today, that's another weapon for them. And, this is going to be a nasty NFC North battle. But the thing is really going to be a cause of concern for Lions fans is that Megatron isn't all that good against Peanut Tillman. Peanut Tillman has shut Megatron down the last few times he's played. When Megatron set the record for most receiving yards in a season with over 1,900 yards, he averaged over 132 yards against everybody else. Against Chicago, let's see. He averaged 53 yards against the Bears in both games. Tillman held him to 34 yards receiving in one game. I like Chicago in this because of that. Because Stafford can't get the ball to anybody else but Megatron. He can't get it to anybody but Calvin Johnson. Problem is they're going up against somebody who knows how to play Calvin Johnson. So that's why I have the Chicago Bears winning this one. Next up, we have the New York Jets coming off their victory against the Bills versus the Tennessee Titans, who are also, they did. They beat San Diego last week. Come from behind victory. So both teams coming off of wins, impressive. And the Jets, it's a Rex Ryan-led team, so it's all about the defense. They're ranked 3rd in the league in defense right now. Yes, it's the Jets. Yes, we know how ugly this team is, but hey, they're 2-1. The win-loss record speaks for itself, And, they're bringing Geno Smith in slowly but surely, and he gets to travel to Tennessee to take on, the Tennessee Titans where, they're pretty much at the bottom of everything offensively, defensively, except for rushing. I think they're 7th in the league in rushing. But I like the Titans at home. They play a lot better at home. Chris John. The main thing is it's going to be really interesting to see how Chris Johnson gets to play against that front with Sheldon Richardson, manning that nasty defense for the Jets, and it's really going to come down to Jake Locker making big plays, and he's coming along. I mean, he's not on that Newton, Dalton, Kaepernick level from the 2011 QB draft class, but he's levels ahead of Ponder and Gabbert. So, but I think Jake Locker makes enough plays. I think this is going to be a 20 to 14 game. I like the Titans in this. Next up, yes, the Washington Redskins. RG 0-3 versus Terrell Pryor and the Oakland Raiders. The Raiders are coming off of basically getting curb stomped by the Broncos, and the Redskins, they gave a game away against the Detroit Lions, where RG3 doesn't know the art of sliding. Now, this is one of the more disappointing teams in the league, the Giants being the other one, and before the Thursday night game, the Niners. The Redskins, defending NFC East champions, but they're sitting in an 0-3 hole. Not only are they sitting in an 0-3 hole, they're sitting in an 0-3 hole versus NFC competition. So this win, I mean, if they win here, yeah, it's going to give them a victory in the win column, but it does absolutely nothing for them division or conference wise. But they need to get this win. They need to play to win at this point. They need to get RG3. RG3 needs to get back to what he was doing when he was a rookie last year, when he was just playing carefree, fearless football. It seems like he's still timid on that knee. I don't know what it is, but you look at the stats here, they are dead last in defense. The Washington Redskins have no defense. You look at the Philly game, they had no defense. You look at the Packers game, had no defense. You look at the Lions game, stupidity, have no defense. So, of course, and then, RG3 is not RG3. Alfred Morris isn't getting the rock and running the ball like he did last season. And that team is just in total disarray. They're going up against an Oakland Raiders team that, it's the Raiders. But Terrell Pryor has given this team, a little bit of hope. Is he the future? Who can tell at this point? But he's a lot better than what was given. Outside of Carson Palmer's numbers, hell, Matt Flynn lost again. How many times are people going to sign this guy thinking he's going to be the starter, but for him to get beat out by somebody else? And, the Raiders, it's funny, they're actually third in the league in rushing. Terrell Pryor, Darren McFadden, they're getting it done on the ground. But having said all that, the Redskins need a victory, and they get it today. I'm saying this right now, Redskins fans. I'm saying this right now, Quay. Your Redskins get a victory today. I'm saying that they beat the Oakland Raiders today, and I'm sticking to that. Next up, we have the Philadelphia Eagles coming off of that bad, emotional Andy Reid loss to the Chiefs, taking on the Denver Broncos, who are just steamrolling their competition. You've seen what they did to Baltimore, seen what they did to the Giants, you've seen what they did to the Raiders. Obviously they have the number one ranked offense, and that's because Peyton Manning is basically playing in a league of his own. He's basically 2004, 2005 Peyton Manning. He hasn't lost a step. And once again, they're at home. So that's going to already tell you who I'm picking in this game. And you got the Philadelphia Eagles, who are sitting 30th in defense. So you already know who I'm picking. I don't think I need to go any further. Oh, by the way, that Chip Kelly fast-paced offense fizzled already. It's done. There's no way it was gonna be able to be sustained. After week 2, it was throttled. Week 1 they ran 53 plays in the first game. Then in week 2 they ran 53 plays total, damn near. That fast-paced offense is done. It's done. You got a defense that can disrupt that fast-paced offense. They got an offensive line that can't hold their own. Ladies and gentlemen, Broncos, easy pick, Broncos. Next game, we have Dallas coming off of their blowout victory against the Rams, traveling to San Diego to take on the Chargers, coming off of a bitter defeat at the hands of the Tennessee Titans late. So you have the San Diego Chargers. You have Phillip Rivers, who's playing the best ball he's played in about 4 seasons. I'd say since the 2009, maybe 2008, 2009 season. 7 TDs, 1 interception. You knew, after week 3 last year or the year before that, he'd already have as many interceptions as he does touchdowns. But Mike McCoy, I think he's worked wonders for Phillip Rivers, giving him an offensive scheme that's beneficial to him and helping him get the ball out and helping him helping him play mistake-free football. So you have the Dallas Cowboys, who are at the middle of the road in everything. Offense, rushing, defense. They're at the middle of the pack. Of course, you got Romo. You got Dez Bryant. Miles Austin will not be playing in this game. I swear, that boy's hamstring has to be made of, taffy. But they're going to be without his services, and they're traveling to San Diego. San Diego has the 31st ranked defense, shockingly. But, I wouldn't say shockingly, because, let's see. Oh, yeah, they lost. Yeah, a lot of that was the fact that they gave up 31 or a 28-7 lead to Houston, and then everything else and then the game against Philly, the shootout in Philly, and then Tennessee. But the defense could be a lot better than where their ranking is overall. But this game is at San Diego. Dallas is wildly inconsistent. They get a big victory, and then they have the letdown game. Giants game, Chiefs game, prime example. So they get the big game today, or a big game last week. Today is their letdown game. I'm picking the Chargers. Sunday Night Football, ladies and gentlemen. Really good matchup. We have Tom Brady and the New England Patriots traveling to the ATL to take on Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons. Patriots are coming off of a victory against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Falcons are coming off of a bitter loss to the Miami Dolphins. So another disappointing team so far, the 1-2 Falcons. I mean, they're without Steven Jackson. They lost Croy Bierman, and I knew when they went to Miami they were going to lose that game because they just don't play well outdoors. They're a dome team. And Miami's surprisingly that good. But they get some home love. They get to host Tom Brady and his Patriot squad, which that defense is what's carrying them because they actually have the 9th-ranked defense New England does. And like I said, they're sitting at 3-0. You know, they played junk teams like the Jets. They played the Bills. They played Tampa Bay. So now they actually get to go up against a team with some real talent. Because you look at Atlanta, Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Roddy White, Tony Gonzalez, Jaquiz Rogers. I mean, they're actually going up against a team that has weapons. That 9th-ranked defense will be put to the test. The Atlanta Falcons are a 9th-ranked offense. So you got the 9th-ranked defense versus the 9th-ranked offense. Something's got to give. This game is in Atlanta. I like Atlanta in this game because they're at home. If they were at Foxborough, I'd choose otherwise. But this is a home game. They know that they need to get off the schneid because the Saints are pulling away in the NFC South because you've got the Panthers who are 1-2. You've got the Bucs who are 0-3. And the last thing Atlanta needs to do is go 1-3 and have New Orleans sitting at 3-0 at this point. So I like Atlanta at home. And for one, Tom Brady's weapons are complete garbage. Kimbrell Tompkins and Aaron Dobson. Sorry, that Charlie check down, that's not going to get it done in Atlanta. Not at all. So, Falcons, folks. Final game, Monday night game. You have the aforementioned Miami Dolphins, who are 3-0, traveling to New Orleans, Mercedes-Benz Superdome, to take on Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. Hey, this New Orleans Saints team is for real, offensively and defensively. They're ranked 4th offensively, 4th defensively. And, of course, they played the Falcons, they played the Bucs, and, they played the Cardinals. Yeah, they played 2 mediocre teams and a good team in Atlanta. But, hey, you play to win the game. Hello? But they get the Miami Dolphins, who are playing some of the best football I've seen them play, not since they debuted the Wildcat in 2008. So this has been 5 seasons since I've seen the Dolphins actually play some really good football. Tannehill is coming into his own, and then, he's one of the QBs out of that 12 class that doesn't get too much pub or attention due to, Luck, RG3, Russell Wilson, guys like that. But Tannehill has been playing a lot better football this season. And, guys like Lamar Miller, Daniel Thomas, Brian Hartline, who is really one of the more underrated receivers in this league. Then, of course, you have Mike Wallace, who they spent big dollars to bring to Miami, playing well. And then, of course, that defense. Miami's defense is what's the cat's meow. Boy, that's an antiquated comment right there. Cat's meow. But anyway, Cameron Wake, Deion Jordan, guys that get off the edge and can disrupt. They're going to be put to the test against that fast-paced New Orleans offense. Hey, Chip Kelly, you want to see how a fast-paced offense runs? You better look at Sean Payton and Drew Brees and how they run that offense, because that is a fast-break offense, folks. And that team is in New Orleans. And that team has Sean Payton back. And that team has a defense. And that team is who I'm picking to win on Monday night. I'm picking the Saints. So there you have it, folks. Those are my picks for the rest of Week 14. Or, not Week 14, Week 4, my apologies. Week 1, I went 10-6. Week 2, I went 13-3. Last week, 11-5. So, and I've already got a victory pick from Thursday. So let's see if I can continue that streak of picking at least 10 wins, right? So, everybody, enjoy your day. If you're a Rams fan, sorry. If you're a Niners fan, hey, you get to relax and watch everybody else's team. But for everybody else, set your fantasy football rosters and enjoy the show. Out.